Welcome back to Sport on 7. I'm Tom Bushell, and if you're on Twitter, you can find me there too. It's at Tom Bushell UAE. Now, Steve Larkham is a man who played for the Wallabies between 96 and 2007. He is in Dubai this week for OSN's coverage of the Rugby Championship, and will also be doing a question and answer session at the Marriott Marquis at Velocity on Friday the 4th of October. I firstly asked him if he was shocked by the recent news that Jake White has resigned from the Brumbies.
Yeah, very much a surprise to everyone. So particularly over the last 2 weeks, we've been in constant contact with Jake, talking about the pre-season, because our pre-season starts in 2 weeks' time. So we've been talking about the schedule and what we need to improve for next season, all that sort of stuff. And I guess last Friday we found out he made his decision that he wasn't going to come back, and it was a bit of a shock to everyone. Well, it was a shock to everyone, particularly because the season was so close around the corner, or the pre-season was so close around the corner. And there was no real indication after the season finished that he wasn't going to come back. So, yeah, we're sort of reeling at the moment, I guess, trying to catch our feet and get ourselves back on track there a little bit.
So would Larkham, an assistant coach at the Brumbies, be interested in taking over the role?
Yeah, I think ideally Jake could have given us a little bit more notice, and maybe one more year would have been good for me. So initially when he came in, he always spoke about a 4-year plan, and he wanted me to take over. In the 4-year period, I guess. You know, we never really thought he was going to last out the 4 years. We thought maybe 3 years, and then he'd have that transition process. So I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about being a head coach ever since he came on board. Prior to that, I was only relatively new into the coaching scene. So I'm now 3 years into coaching. But I've certainly learned a lot over the last 2 years, both with Jake and Laurie Fisher, both tremendous coaches in their own right. So I'm sort of learning both aspects of coaching, and I'm certainly ready to step up.
Speaking of his national side, he believes that the Wallabies are in a transitional state.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wake-up call for us at the moment. It's the cricket, it's the rugby, it's the Olympics as well. We didn't have a very successful Olympics, so I think sport in general in Australia is having a good look at itself. Probably 10 years ago we were at the top of our game in most sports. I think the other countries around the world have caught up to us, and we've probably got to look at our processes a little bit more now and decide where we want to go. Do we want to push a little bit more money into the sporting arena to get our sides back up there on the world stage? Because at the moment, or particularly rugby, we've dropped right down. We're ranked 4th in the world at the moment.
Now, if you'd like to see more of the man talk, you can do at Velocity at the Marriott Marquis on Friday the 4th of October. You can find more info by emailing david@eventtoursports.com. Steve is very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, interested to see what sort of sporting public you get over here. I came here last November, and it was basically between OSN and back to the hotel, and that was it. And you don't really get to mingle with too many people on that little trip. But this will be a good experience just to see how people view sport over here.
Now back to Melbourne as we look at the highlights of their sporting calendar. Right now it's time to focus on the Australian Open. It's the first slam of the season in tennis, and a lot of players, including the world's top 3, Djokovic, Nadal and Murray, will play the World Tennis Championships in Abu Dhabi in December before they travel to Australia. I went to the Rod Laver Arena to find out why it's so special. The Rod Laver Arena opened in 1988 and was named after this man, the man that won 2 Grand Slams and also 3 Australian Open titles. Another man who won 3 times here is Todd Woodbridge. Todd, thanks so much for speaking to me today. Obviously, we'll get on to the Australian Open and what this place means to you in just a short while. But first of all, Dubai. You've played there before, but it was many years ago now.
Yeah, I've both places. Here at the side of the Australian Open in Dubai, I've watched it grow. Mark Woodford and I won the event in the early 90s at the very beginning, and I recall at the end of my career playing the last year there with Mahesh Bhupathi and watching the surrounds of the tennis stadium be inundated by more buildings and growth. So extraordinary how much that's changed over the length of my playing career.
And in terms of Dubai growing, this place has as well. The Australian Open has become such a great event, and one of the slams, of course.
Well, I was a junior who played in the main draw at the first year here in 1988, and I've watched it expand and grow. Hisense Arena and Margaret Court Arena is now getting a retractable roof, and this tournament's just gone from strength to strength, and it's amazing to see the infrastructure and how important it is to the city here in Melbourne.
And what does the Australian Open have that, maybe none of the other slams have? Of course, it's such a great tennis calendar now, isn't it? But what does this tournament bring?
Well, I think every slam has something different, and the Australian Open brings summer. It's a relaxed attitude that Australia has. It's about beach and fun, and I know for the playing group in particular, they've come off winters in Europe and the States, and it's a real fresh start to the year, and it's a clean slate and it starts new, and the atmosphere and the whole thing around the Australian Open is sensational. The others have a completely different vibe. Here is about fun, relaxed, outdoor, and the players really feel that, and they thrive on it as well.
Now, Todd, your career, of course, was pretty spectacular, wasn't it? Let's talk a little bit about your achievements in the sport. 3 titles here at the Australian Open. This place must be really special to you.
Well, I think winning a national title is amazing. Of course, I couldn't do it on my own. I needed Mark Woodford to be able to do that with as well. But this was my first Grand Slam in doubles in 1992 with Mark Woodford, and so to win something like that is just a bit of a dream come true, and that was the start of an amazing Grand Slam record for the both of us. 3
doubles titles for you here at the Australian Open, 9 Wimbledon titles. Has it sunk in yet, your achievements in the sport? Because they really are remarkable, aren't they?
The older I get, that old adage, the better I get. I think I know when I go back to Wimbledon now and I look at 9, and I think it was 10 finals over 12 years, and to be healthy, both without a cold or an injury of any kind, and be able to come back and play every year well, I look back at that and go, that was pretty special. I don't know how that happened.
It's 2 more titles than Federer and Sampras, who both have 7, of course, at Wimbledon. So 9 is pretty good. Todd, thanks for your time today, and it's great to speak to you here at the Australian Open.
Thank you. Great place to be. Come back to the Australian Open. It's the only place to be.
That's Melbourne for you, but of course Dubai's sporting season is up and running, and over the next 6 months we will have plenty of sport for you on Sport on 7. Next though, Chris McCarty is here to speak about the biggest sporting stories of the last week, and we'll hear from Kobe Bryant too. We'll be back in just a moment.